All right, welcome back to Beauty Grows Hope. Today we're talking again about the Echium plants. In this case, because like many of you, I'm preparing for a winter storm. If you have a plant like this, that is sort of it's on the border, right? If we have a mild winter, it'll be totally fine. If we get really clobbered with an ice storm, it might get damaged. It might half make it, it might just have some problems. So, I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to tuck in all of my plants. Yes, I'm going to tuck them in. I'm not singing them lullabies this time, but I am tucking them in. So, with what I'm doing with that, I'm taking actually some of this nice, like fine, chipped wood mulch, just little bark mulch, and I'm going to really layer it around the bottom of the plants. And what that does is it helps, and this helps keep a little more of that heat in. So it really is like a giant blanket for your plant. So it can't hurt to do that anytime, but especially now when you have some serious cold front on the way. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I actually am going to do a couple frost blankets. I have one like official frost blanket, which maybe I'll get out later for a video. And then I'm also going to take some sheets, just regular cotton sheets, and put them over this because I have that tree there. I'll actually kind of drape it over all of it. All right, so we went and got our sheet. I'm actually taking off my beloved gloves. Huge fan. I'll say it again and again. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to use, these are just little cotton old sheets, and I'm going to put it over these plants. Now, if the storm doesn't come and it starts to rain really hard, I'll come and take these off. Okay, but if it's supposed to at least get down to freezing tonight, even if the storm doesn't come, so it can't hurt these plants, honestly. The good news is we've been having some other cold nights, which kind of think of them as practice runs for your plant. So they've given it some practice. It's not completely fragile. It's not like you brought it out of a hothouse and it's its first storm, but you still don't really want to push your luck, kind of. So one thing that I keep seeing with frost covers, which makes me horrified, is people take them and like tie them off like around the base of your trunk, and that kind of defeats half of, like 80% of the purpose. Because 80% or more of the purpose is that the heat from the ground will rise up into the bubble you've created. So if you tie off the bubble halfway up the trunk, no help. So this is probably one of those things where having an assistant would be helpful. Now, it also depends how heavy your sheet is and how big your other plant is. We're going to try the just throw it over method. I have seen that people can be really resourceful at even using chip clips, things like that. Which again, hey, more power to you. I might try that sometime. Now in this case, since I have two sheets, I was trying to figure out how best to do this. I'm hoping that it won't get too heavy right on that Echium plant. So I want to take some of the weight of the sheet off if I can and spread it beyond just the one plant. So in this case, I am going to try to get it as close to the ground as I can. So it's all draping on the ground over here. I might even put a rock on the bottom of it. And I'm going to let this little part go all the way over to this little young apple tree, which I think will be sturdy enough. But like I said, I mean, if there's a huge sleet storm, I might come get it. I feel like it's really getting too heavy. But if not, again, the point is to just keep it slightly elevated temperature under that little tent we're making for it. So here's another sheet. I remember getting this at a thrift store for a project. And we've actually used them as like tablecloths and outdoor picnic blankets, and now Echium tents. Okay, so here we go. Okay, here we are. This is Beauty Grows Hope, and today we are, fingers crossed, hoping to get my giant Echium plants to survive the harshest winter Seattle has had in like 20 years or something. So I don't think it's going very well, actually. This is the homemade version. It's just a sheet, but it is hard to say. Although the leaves under here don't look as bad as some over there. It's just really hard to say. That plant is definitely looking, they're looking very wilted, which is a little bit what you'd expect in this situation. In this case, because I have a different sheet, I'm gonna switch to the other sheet and hope that that can help us a little. A fresh, not wet sheet. One thing I was researching that can help is if the fabric is not actually touching the plant. So the point is we're trying to provide, sorry, I'll focus for a second. What we're trying to do is trap the heat that rises out of the ground. I put a big extra layer of mulch around all of these little Echium plants. And so you're hoping that that heat will stay trapped under your cloth and just keep your plant a little bit warmer. So it's still like kind of middle of the day here right now. It's not sunny, but again, that could all help a little bit. Another thing I was reading, and let's see. Yep, Hello Kitty sheets from the play bin. I think one of the questions here, I really am gonna need some poles. I'm really trying to get this so it doesn't actually touch the plant. So I'm gonna have to come back with that in a minute maybe. But let's check over here. This one is a store-bought frost cloth. And we'll see if we think it's doing any better. Well, it's hard to say. This plant is, at least for now, it's hanging on there. Maybe shouldn't have taken this off, but for the sake of our experiment, I did. So I'm gonna put it back around, and the key thing that I keep researching and finding is us trying to keep the seal between the ground and... Okay, so when we're evaluating homemade versus buying a frost cloth, I would say one of the biggest downsides so far, now this is real frost cloth over here, but the homemade, which was on, so I think that's part of it, blew off. I think this plant currently is not, it's not completely dead. If this cold didn't last for weeks, it would still revive. But I think the longer we've got cold, the harder it's gonna be to keep this plant alive. So what I'm gonna go work on doing now is getting a few other posts to try to stake up, and I've got zip ties, and then I might also go fill some jugs with super hot water and leave them under there later tonight, not right now, probably like 10 o'clock tonight. So as things cool down even more, that you might have a chance of just raising the temperature under your little tent just a teeny bit more. I will admit, it's looking grim for these Echiums though. I don't know if they're really gonna make it, which is sad, but the great experiment. I will plant them again next year. I'm gonna keep going. Some year, I'm gonna get these Echiums to be like 12 to 16 feet tall, and if it's not this summer, it will be the next one, or the one after that. Because Seattle generally only gets one of these really harsh, cold snaps like this. It's very rare. It's every couple years. This is not our every winter experience. So, we'll do what we can. Okay, so here is the tent I ended up creating. I used a few really tall poles that I've made a kid's backyard tent out of before, and it seemed to do the trick. I put the big jugs of hot water under, and the Echium did better than I thought they would. I will do a follow-up video and let you see them now that the snow is starting to melt.